Whoop. Okay, good day, everybody. It's the 30th of September. Can you believe that? September's nearly gone. And anyway, that's the way it works. And there's a couple of big things to discuss later on when we get through the tracker. One is the biggest one is the change to the way we're handling leg three. We're going to do a mass restart out of Mauritius. So everyone the leaders will have to stay for a few extra days and the tail enders will catch up and so on. Okay, so and I'll explain the reasons why and how it's going to work and how the positions stay the same and all that sort of stuff. And while we're waiting for people to turn up, I just put a file. I tried to think of something different, and it was a toss-up between the rudder and gudgeon bits and pieces or the keel. The keel is an interesting scenario, so we will get to that as well. I've got not much space here, and in fact, I'll do that now while we're waiting for some people to turn up because we're only about 30 people there now. So, okay, so here's the keel, and this is we've got a CNC cutting file that allows you to have this all done by machinery rather than try and cut it out with oxyacetylene gear and wheels and all that stuff. So you start off with your top plate. That's the plate that mounts on the hull. And then you'll see the top of the keel plate has little checks in it, like three shaped pieces that go into the slots in the center of the mounting plate. And once they're up in there, then you weld the underside here to hold it there, and then you weld all on the other side as well. So it's more than there's the top checks into the top plate. You can also get the CNC machine to cut a profile into the leading edge or trailing edge if you want, and also even on the top plate. You can't see it yet, but you can cut a bevel on that with a machine. Machine it down so it's a little bit less resistance. So that's how it all comes together. It's like a kit set. You make your halves, and then you weld the whole thing with substantial amount of weld on the top. Now, before we actually had this file, we in the cutting file, people would just butt the two plates together. So you got your mounting plate at the top, pretty simple, and you just cut your keel plate and then hold it there, and they just seam weld it, edge weld it all the way around, which is still okay, but it's now even a lot stronger when you check it into the plate as well. So that's there's the halves that go onto the bulb halves that go on there. We got to have people, whoever's doing the welding, you've got to show us their welder. They've got to be a certified welder, and they've got to tell us the machine that's being used to make the welds and the settings on the machine at the time, and the electrodes that they're using as well. So that's on all the certification compliance to get their keel ticked off. And then some people don't realise, but there's a time life on the keel bolts as well. So the bolts that are holding it into the boat. So you've got to have fresh bolts before the start of the race, and that'll become before the start of the MGR. You've got to, and at another check at a certain time, you've got to retract one bolt, looking for corrosion, and if that bolt's okay, we'll pass the other bolts. But so by the end of the race, by the end of this GGR, all the keel bolts on all the boats will have to, not GGR, the MGR, all the keel bolts on all the boats will have to be replaced for the next owners or whatever, which is no big deal. It's just I'm doing it. And anyway, we can talk about it. It's always a bit of a challenge getting the keel off as well. There's different techniques for doing that. But anyway, part of the course. Okay, let's get straight to the tracker, and I'll do some ETAs because effectively what's happening, I'll do some ETAs just to show you how the timeline works and how we're going to work the mass restart and why we're going to do the mass restart in Mauritius. So you're on the tracker, and I'm now on the tracker. So there it is. As a by the way comment, Mark's just turned up in Cocos Keeling, so he just arrived as everyone's out of here. So that's good for him. He enjoy that. Down the back end of the fleet here, you can see there's a lot more breeze right through for the back part of the fleet. The front four have got it a little bit easier. So that's cool. I've got to remember to talk about the updates that they've given me. I had a chat with Renault last night. It was very funny. He's living in a mould pit at the moment. But anyway, he says he's not 5-star, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so Josh, he's doing 5.4 knots and 109-mile day. Obviously backed off because the sea will be up there. And I had a chat with Entrant as well. He checked in to see how it was and stuff. and he's just laying in the middle of the floor in his boat and enjoying the ride. Small, half a head sail out and nothing else, and just toodalooing along because it's quite a sea state. And the sea was coming on the beam, but the wind was on the port quarter. So he's doing 5 knots and 110 nautical mile a day. You can see he's backed off. They could be, as he said in his words, I quote, he says, I could put more sail out and go faster, but then the boat gets hammered and there's waves coming up, more waves coming over the boat, all that sort of stuff. So he's just notched back 1 notch and enjoying the ride. But he says he doesn't go outside at all, really. He just gets up to have a look every now and then, and that's it. So Jazz doing 5.6, 130 mile day, pulling away from Entrant and Josh. So that's pretty cool. Keep the pressure on. Look at that. Passing Eric as well. Gaining on Eric, I should say. 123 mile day for Eric and 5.3 knots for the last 4 hours. Christian zigzagging around a bit, heading down towards Jacob, maybe to say g'day. He's doing 5.3 knots and did 128 mile day. And Jacob, 129 mile day. So still a little bit faster, but 5.2 for the last 4 hours. And there's Adam, 6 knots and 127 mile day. So that whole group is pretty much doing okay. Josh is falling back a bit, same with Entrant, but that's what they do. So now we come to I'll just pick it up a bit here so you can see the group of 4 up the front. And Peeler doing 5.7 and 144. Crikey, she's doing okay. And that's possibly, they're getting those miles because the sea may have died down. It might not show up, but I'll have a look in a minute. So maybe the sea's backed off and they're going, or maybe Peeler knows that if she wants to keep up with these guys at the front, got to keep the pressure on, but that seems pretty good to me. Kerry, 137 versus 144. 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 miles out of Kerry in the last 24 hours. So maybe Peeler's put the pressure on there. Dan, 144. Peeler, 144. Didn't lose anything, didn't gain anything. 6.2 knots. And is he a little bit closer to Renault? Maybe. Renault, 6.1 and 141. Yep, got 3 miles in the last 24 hours. And as I say, I had a nice chat to Renault, just checking on a couple of things, and he's saying his vents aren't doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to close up when the waves come across, but he says they close up after the waves come in the boat. So he's all locked up, not getting a lot of air in, and there's mould. There's quite a lot of mould he's trying to battle with down below. And he's really tired. He said he's quite tired, looking forward to getting in, and I think he's really working hard to stay away from Dan. So I don't think he's taking it easy, waiting for Dan to catch up and then push a bit harder. I think Renault's doing the best job he can out there at the moment. So there's a real race going on up the front, which is good to see. So relative distances here between Renault, if Dan took out a few extra miles, that's transom to transom, close enough. 61, he gained a little bit there because I think it was 66 last time. And then Kerry is probably about there. Be right, maybe a bit further back. 123, so still holding about the same. And the Peeler, 244, lost a little bit over the last week, but still within scooting distance. Then Adam back here to the other group, 470. You got to add another 200. You got to add another 240 in there. So that's 600. That's near enough to 5, 6, 7, 8. 750, 800 miles behind Renault because there's a 2-day gap for the rest of the fleet right there. Okay, so that's that. Let's just come back here and look at the wind for the next 2 days. See what it's going to do. Whoa, there's a big hole in front there. This is where we're getting out of the trades because, once again, the trades are a factor of this high-pressure system sitting here, and it's the top end of the high running across. But the centre of these highs dictates a lot to do with the weather, and the position of the centre is influenced by what's underneath it down here in the Southern Ocean. Okay, so at the moment, they've been pretty lucky. They've got a good trade wind ride, maybe too much wind, but pushing them to Port Louis. And then after that, they're dipping into the weather system. So you can expect things to be different types of sailing after Port Louis. and Mauritius. But for now, they're going to Port Mathurin. That's it. Yeah. Okay. I can actually. Interesting point there. See, we're 281 days on the road since Antigua. So that's about 7 months ago. Yeah. So everyone's been out for a while. Okay, let's see what the wind's going to do. Hit that and then push it every 3 hours. The heavier wind is moving forward, but it's holding for most of them. And I think they'll hold the sea state as well coming up. Although it is lack of wind underneath them, maybe the sea's going to die off a bit, but we'll have a look. So there goes day 1, day 2. For the next couple of days, we'll see how it goes. Day 3. I'm looking at this for day 4 just to see what the ETAs are. I'm going to do an ETA on Jasmine, for instance, just to give you an idea what it's looking like. So there you go, day 4. It's the 4th of October, so there's 6 days, coming up to 6 days, a little bit quiet there on day 6. Yep, a little bit quiet on day 7 out of there as well. So that might slow them up a bit. Anyway, that's cool. So no surprises there anyway for the next few days. The lead group's going to get in, but they might slow down a few days at the end for the tail enders down here. Okay, I'll consider that as well when we get a bit further down. So now we want to look at current here. I'll push it up. Boom, there's the currents coming up. That's where they're going, Port Mathurin there, and they're back here. They've got a nice current pushing them through. It's just positive energy there, positive speed pluses, maybe 10 miles a day varies. There we go. So it's moving around quite a lot. They may be getting 5-10 miles a day out of that, but there's no negatives there. Clouds, we're looking cloudy days. They won't like that. They will need the sun and bits and pieces. Now the big one, the waves, it's all pretty much the same. But that's in 4 days' time. Here we are now, it's heavier. So at the moment, boy, they've got some solid stuff down the back end of the fleet. Jacob, Christian, that's the heaviest. It's getting a bit softer at the front, a bit steady, but it's still in the 3 metre range. So it's solid. Eric and Jasmine have just left the bad bit, but Urton and Josh, there's a convergence there of various wave patterns. So they've got a bit more uncomfortable stuff coming in. Okay, so I think all I'm going to do now, come back to the wind, and just for old time's sake, just going to have a look at what the weather is doing down here. Wow, there's a big low pressure system there. High pressure system forming up here. Bit messy, but that's okay. It's spinning off. This is just to give you a look at how the whole thing comes together from Mauritius here, going underneath Madagascar across to Durban. They won't go that close to Madagascar. They've got to make southing and then come in underneath it and approach generally from the east, and then don't do the last 150 from the east. Come in up higher. And what's going to happen to all that? Just see it's moving up. Boom, big heavy weather coming down there. They're always extremes. It's not going to be the light stuff. It's bits. So pretty good looking up the gap up the top here. That's okay. That's going to get challenging there. You can see that would be a little bit of a headwind as they're getting there. That's a couple of days. It all rolls through in a couple of days. Then straight away it turns around. You get two or 3 days one way, 2 or 3 days the next way. And here, that's interesting. You got northerly, and then all of a sudden you got a southerly again. So that's just a quick. You can see it's a bit all over the place. So, but that's all pretty good. They go run along the top there. Okay, that's enough of that. I think we're done with this lot. What I want to do now is come down and look at some distances for ETAs. So I'm going to build that up. We're on the wind, so that's okay. It's current wind. Here comes the fleet. Get rid of that. We're back on real-time weather now. Now, just for the sake of the exercise, I'm going to use Jasmine as a distance measure, because I was thinking she's going to, from there to here, that's 1,000 miles. Already, I'm moving the biro here. 1,000 miles. That's going to take potentially a week. Let's just say 1 week, so 7 days. 7 days there. Then she's got. Currently, Jasmine is on 5 days in 5 days in Port Mathurin, and we may modify that a little bit, but 5 days there. So we add that on, so 7 days, and I've got 5 days for stopover. And then we've got another through 2.5. We'll call it 3 days just to allow a bit of latitude. So that's 3, 7, 10, that's 15. So about 15 or 16, we should see Jasmine arrive in 15 or 16. Jasmine should arrive in Port Louis. And to give you another ETA update, let's try. We'll try for Adam. 11 and 7. We'll call that 8 days plus another 5 days. So it's 8 5. That's 13. So that's the 13th. So you should arrive about the 13th. So that's fine. So if we're going to do a mass restart, the idea is that first of all, if we just focus on Port Mathurin, the boats are scheduled in their sailing instruction to stop for 6 days in Port Mathurin. This one here for 6 days, so that's fine. But we're going to cut that back to 4 days for Entrant and Josh. So Entrant and Josh will be there for only 4 days, and Eric and Jasmine will be there for 5 days. Okay, as I mentioned for their ETA. So Jasmine should have an ETA of 15, 16. And then the others here, Christian and Jacob and Adam, they're going to stay for 6 days, and all the guys here are staying for 6 days, and they move across. And that gives me an indication that if all things considered, I think we'll see Renault arrive in Port Louis around about the 11th, I think it is. So he'll arrive about the 11th. And as we said, Jasmine will arrive about 15, 16. And then if we go from there, say Jasmine arrives on the 16th, and then we start on the 25th. So that's exactly 9 days. So Jasmine will have the required 9 days from the sailing instructions. So she'll have a normal stopover. Okay, that's 9 days. Everyone ahead of her will have a longer stopover. Okay, so if Renault arrives on the 11th, I think we can come out of there now. If he arrives on the 11th, and we're not going to start until the 25th, he's got 2 weeks. He's got 14 days. So he's, instead of the usual 9 days, he's going to have to stay for another 5 days. For Entrant and Josh, instead of getting the full 9 days that was originally scheduled for Mauritius, he's going to stop for one less day in Rodriguez, which means he'll probably catch up to Jasmine because he's about a day behind Jasmine. So he should arrive in Mauritius around about the same time as Jasmine, 15, 16, and still get the 9 days. Josh might end up with 8 days. Could even be 7 days, depending on what happens over the next period. But 7 days is still enough time to rest and recover and so on. And the main purpose of that is so that when they're actually leaving Mauritius, I know the entrants will love it because they're all racing again, but mainly it's to keep them together as a group so that if there's any issues with weather, they're all facing something similar. And if we want to make any management decisions on that, we can as a group. It's a lot easier if they're bunched together. So it will be a mass restart from Mauritius. So how's the rankings go? Well, they're still maintaining leg 3 from Fiji all the way through to Cape Town. Okay, so that's the real leg. But because we're doing a mass restart in Mauritius, we're going to do a calculation of the actual corrected time on the water for Mauritius. So we're not making another leg. We're not changing all the legs. But you will be able to see at the time they leave Mauritius, there will be on the results section of the website a corrected time analysis of each of the skippers, and you'll see where the rankings are for leg 3, okay, based on leg 3 only. Okay, so we're not going to go into the corrected time for the whole race from the Antigua Sailing Academy because they haven't finished leg 3 yet. Now, when they then get to they're racing to Durban and then racing to Cape Town, you're only going to see their relative positions based on the departure from Mauritius. When they do get to Cape Town and finish leg 3, right, we will then give you a corrected time for leg 3 to see who wins leg 3 of the race. and it may not be Renault. And it was actually the discussion we had with Renault was that, look, it could be anyone that could be faster on the sailing from Mauritius to Cape Town, but that doesn't mean they've won leg three, right? There will be a leg three winner, and that'll be based on the times from Fiji to Mauritius and then Mauritius to Cape Town. It's time on the water, and there will be adjustments because you can see now, not only did we have some boats having 2 days less stopover in Cocos Keeling, we've got some boats which have less of a stopover, etc., in Mauritius. And so when we're calculating the actual time to see who's the winner, we only count up the days on the water. And the times when there's adjustments for various boats are very easy for us to calculate it because they're 24-hour blocks, right? So it's very simple, straightforward. It might sound complicated, but you'll easily be able to see, who's going to win leg three, okay, because we'll do a corrected time for leg three. And then also at the end of leg three in Cape Town, we will do an overall corrected time from the National Sailing Academy in Antigua to Cape Town. So you'll know who's winning so far because there's only one leg then left up through the Atlantic. And it gets a bit frantic because there's not a lot of weather opportunities. When you leave Cape Town, the first week could be demanding weather, but everyone will be in the same weather for the first week on the Atlantic. And then it's pretty much trade winds again, all the way to St. Helena. And it's pretty much trade winds all the way to Recife. And then there's a couple of holes that you get when you sail from Recife to Antigua, but it's going to be hard to catch up. That's what I'm saying at the moment. You're looking at the 4 lead boats here, and I think the winner, touch wood, will come from one of those 4. One of those 4 is the likely. But having said that, anything can happen. Never over the fat lady sings, so hang on to your hats and go from there. So I'm now going to get you the Entrant reports we've got here. Okay, here we go. And the last one I gave you, Peter Pankalot, Seashore, we gave you that. Renault, I gave you Renault. So, okay, so the next one is 200 messages. So Sun Bear report for Tuesday the 30th. September having a nice 15-knot breeze at the moment. We now have more challenging weather. Yesterday had 24 to 26 knots most of the day, and last night gusting to 30 knots. This morning, very overcast and showers. Wind still around at 25 knots and 3-metre seas. Weather forecast looks like the same for a couple of days. Boat is handling it well, and I'm doing okay. Very wet when up on deck. All the best, Eric. I think Eric will probably be staying below deck as well. Okay, so Christian, we've got challenging conditions since yesterday evening. Lots of wind, confused sea state, very wet in the cockpit indeed, and it's getting colder every day. During the night, we got hit hard many times by big waves from the side. Feeling quite safe inside the boat. It is a good feeling. The same thing, the boat gives you a sense of security. I know exactly what he means when you get hit and go down. It's like the best lifeboat in the world, touch wood. Feeling quite safe inside the boat. Seems to be a cloudy day. Difficult to cook in these kinds of conditions. I also got that one from a chat with not only Renault, who's sunny sky and all the rest of it, but also Entrant, who's just laying down on the floor in between the 2 bunks and watching TV and having a good time, listening to music, calling people, saying g'day, and there you go. So that's cool. I saw a message here from Origami, but that's just talking about other stuff. Okay, all right. So if you're watching, Kerry, I'll answer those bits later. Just about boats coming on the market. Boom, boom. Okay, so we're done with all that. Jeepers, time rockets away, and g'day Christine, g'day Jonathan, catch you live this morning. Good on you, Jonathan. Here's g'day from Darwin. John, how long will you be in China? Did Jane get us? Oh yeah, Jane got the visa to Cape Town. Whoop whoop, that was a big day. Took 2 tries and a lot more paperwork and bits and pieces, but she got it. So she's coming to Cape Town, which is good. That's the first time in 3 attempts to get the visa. She didn't make it for the GGR. And didn't make it for a recce with the OGR either. So twice she's not been able to achieve that, but have now. So that's all good. She'll be in Cape Town. And Jonathan, must-see suggestions for any must-see suggestions for Cowes or the Isle of Wight? Must-see. Head down to the marine to look at boats. I'm not sure. I'd have to off the top of my head. The Cows is really nice. Cows is a classic. I really like the place. We finished the OGR there, and so we spent a bit of time there, and it's like a quintessential little traditional fishing village that's gone crazy, but it's still got the feel. It's very, very English, very British, going stepping back. And they're about to celebrate 200 years of yachting, I think it is. I think it's 200 years. And we've been looking at taking the prologue for the GGR back there and we're currently discussing various places for the start of the OGR, but it's very expensive, super expensive, and you've got to pay for everything, so I don't think it's going to happen. But anyway, that's cool. Chris Rees, looks like Entrant is still taking it easy watching films on the internet, judging by it's exactly right. It's exactly right. He needs to watch an Amoka documentary. Yeah, no, he's not into Amokas. But anyway, that's cool. Oh, if you didn't see it, have a look at the Transat site, because I put I call them hydrofoils now, because there's foiling Amokas and there's obviously foiling minis. But the guy with the Mini 650 that we mentioned previously, a couple of weeks ago, who's got the T-foils on the bottom of his rudder, which means the whole boat will lift out flat and foil like a hydrofoil. There's some great photos there. Have a look on the Transat site. I shared them across. Amazing boats, good fun. It'd be amazing to sail one, just have a look, but I wouldn't be able to tour for very long. Anyway, Christine, do they have to finish or sign in at Port Louis, or can anchor in Grand Blair? No, they have to. The finish line is in the harbour. They've all got to cross over between the port and starboard buoy at the entry to Port Louis Harbour. That's where the finish line is, and that's where the start line will be as well. But once they're there, they can go up to the yacht club up north if they want to and have a look around. It's supposed to be a nice place, so I don't think people will be worried about staying a little bit extra. But there you go. That's what we're going to do. Okay, John, how long will you be staying in China? I leave on the 5th, and Jane will leave shortly after to go back to the Sabdor. Okay, we're done. So thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. See you later.